folks, we're back at 7.1.4. We're talking about congruent polygons. So let's just dive right into it. If there's a series of rigid transformations that maps one polygon onto the other, then the two polygons are congruent. The converse is also true. If two polygons are congruent, then there's a series of rigid transformations, which might include reflections, rotations, or translations that map one polygon onto another. So let's do a quick little example here. If I've got a little triangle, and I'll make sure it's congruent by just copying it. And maybe this triangle's had some transformations done to it. Maybe it's been rotated and it has been translated, which means we slid it down here. And maybe I even, let's see, can I flip it easily without distorting it? I can't, so we're just going to do it like this. So I can perform a series of rigid transformations. I could translate it until the two corners overlap like that, and then I could rotate it around that point, which actually may be difficult to do here. So why don't we rotate it first, and then translate it until the corners overlap, and then sure enough, the two shapes overlap each other. So that means they're mapped one onto the other. That's what it means to be mapped one onto the other, is they overlap exactly. So we know that all the sides are the same for the two triangles and that all the angles are the same. Okay, next part says, if two line segments have equal lengths or two angles have equal measures, they are also congruent, because there's a series of rigid transformations that maps one structure onto the other. So the same way we can slide the triangles and rotate them so that they overlap, we could do that with lines or angles as well. Likewise, if two polygons have all pairs of corresponding angles with equal measures and all pairs of corresponding sides with the same length, then the two polygons are congruent, because there's a series of rigid transformations that maps one polygon onto the other. I'm going to highlight a couple key phrases in there. So all pairs of corresponding angles are congruent, and all pairs of corresponding sides are congruent. So if we know the angles and the sides are all the same, then the figures have to be the same. Finally, you know that if two polygons are congruent, then it follows that their corresponding parts are congruent. Shorthand notation for writing this fact for two triangles is congruent triangles have congruent parts. That's how we're going to read that. We have a congruent sign, triangle sign. We're going to read the arrow as have, and then congruent parts. So congruent triangles have congruent parts. So, for example, if triangle ABC is congruent to triangle PQR, then it follows that A is congruent to P, B is congruent to Q, C is congruent to R. Let's pause right here and take a look at that wording, because it's important, the order that we put this in. We say triangle ABC. So we're starting with A, we're going to B, we're going to C. It's congruent to triangle PQR. The order that we write those letters in has to match the corresponding parts. So we know that A and P are going to match up, and that B and Q are going to match up. And we also know that C and R are going to match up. So when you look at these two figures, it's not clear exactly how they match up, because we haven't labeled any of the angles or sides. But the way that they've written tells us which goes to which. So the A matches the Q, the C matches the R, and the B matches the P. So it also follows that AB, which connects the yellow and the green, matches PQ, which connects the yellow and the green. And that AC, which connects the yellow and blue, matches PR. I have made a mistake. I was connecting those. I did it incorrectly. So the yellow goes with the P, and the green goes with the Q. So there we go. So let's try that again. So AB, yellow green, matches PQ, yellow green. AC, yellow blue, matches PR, yellow blue. BC, green blue, matches QR, green blue, green blue. So it all matches up there. When we're writing this out, a lot of times we'll go ahead and just make two little columns. If it says like write all of the corresponding parts, we'll like write our angles in one column and we'll write our sides in the other. And for triangles, you should always have 3 sets of angles and 3 sets of sides. Alright folks, that is it for this video. I will see you next time.